let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're diving into a really captivating piece by an aquarist named Ang. It's titled Finding the Appeal of the Silver Scat. Now, the scientific name alone, selenotoca-multifasciata, makes it sound, incredibly exotic. But as we're about to explore, the initial impression this fish gives is, well, anything but spectacular. We're going to see how a seemingly unimpressive creature is actually hiding some of the most remarkable biological secrets in the animal kingdom, and how those exact secrets serve a very specific practical purpose for hobbyists.
Right off the bat, Ang doesn't pull any punches. When spotting this fish at a local store, the immediate, blunt reaction was exactly the question we'd probably all ask. Why on earth would anyone want to keep such an ugly fish? It's a fantastic hook, right? Because in the aquarium trade, we are so used to seeing neon tetras, those vibrant clownfish, or shimmering bettas. People typically buy fish to add a splash of vibrant, living art to their homes. So when an aquarist stops in their tracks and actively questions why a specific fish is even taking up tank space in a retail store, you just know there has to be a deeper story. It totally subverts our expectations of what makes an animal valuable or even desirable to keep.
Okay, let's break down exactly what Ang means by this aesthetic deficit. If we judge a book by its cover or, a fish by its scales, the silver scat is seriously lacking. The author points out it has a rather plain silver body, broken up only by some dark stripes. From a purely visual standpoint, it lacks any compelling form or vivid color. Ang flat out states that at first glance, this creature has absolutely zero wow factor. Actually, scratch that. The only wow factor it might possess is how impressively unappealing it is. But here's where things get really interesting. Nature rarely does something by accident, and what this fish lacks in visual flair, it absolutely makes up for in pure, unadulterated survival mechanics. So Ang's curiosity led to some deeper research, and we discover an amazing pivot. It turns out this visually ugly fish is actually highly sought after in the aquarium trade. Not for how it looks, but for what it can do. It possesses two major biological secrets. And these aren't just minor quirks. These are traits that thoroughly redefine how this animal interacts with its environment. Let's break down exactly what these two unique traits are, because they're definitely going to change how you view this little silver fish. The first biological superpower is that the silver scat is euryhaline. Basically, this means the fish can tolerate a massive range of salinity. For most aquatic life, salinity is a strict, non-negotiable boundary. A freshwater fish placed in the ocean will perish, and a marine fish placed in a freshwater stream simply cannot survive. Their bodies just aren't equipped to handle that kind of cellular stress. But the silver scat? It casually ignores those traditional boundaries. It can comfortably survive in entirely freshwater, entirely saltwater, and literally everything in between. It's an incredible evolutionary adaptation that allows it to thrive in drastically shifting environments where other species would immediately fail. And that brilliantly brings us to our second superpower. The silver scat is amphidromous. Now, being euryhaline means the fish can survive extreme environmental shifts, but being amphidromous means the fish actively seeks them out as a fundamental part of its lifestyle. It doesn't just endure changes in salinity, it actually requires migrating between these radically different environments to complete its life cycle. Think of it as a built-in biological mandate to travel across the entire salinity spectrum.
The amphidromous journey.
So, we've defined the terms, but what does this incredible biological mandate actually look like in the wild? Well, this migration is a full circle journey. They typically start their lives out in the ocean or in brackish water, which is that middle ground mixture of salt and fresh water. But they don't just stay put. As they enter their juvenile phase, they actively migrate into our freshwater streams or into low salinity mangroves. They spend their youth growing and developing in these dramatically less salty environments. Finally, once they've matured and reached adulthood, that biological clock rings again. They head all the way back out to the full salt water of the ocean. Why? Because that is exactly where they mate and breed, starting the entire cycle over again. It's literally an epic, lifelong commute across ecological zones.
The perfect bridge fish.
So the crucial point here is how these wild biological traits translate into a substantial, practical benefit for everyday fish keepers. Because remember, Ang's original question was why anyone would want to keep this fish in an aquarium in the first place. Well, the answer lies in how we can harness this amphidromous timeline. For an aquarist, venturing into a marine or saltwater setup can be incredibly daunting. It's complex, it's expensive, and the margin for error is notoriously small. But the silver scat serves as what Ang calls the perfect bridge fish. An aquarist can start with a standard, manageable freshwater setup. They introduce the silver scat, which, as a juvenile, is perfectly happy and biologically adapted to be there. Then, the aquarist has the unique opportunity to slowly and safely transition the salinity of that very same tank until it becomes a full marine setup. Because the silver scat is euryhaline, it comfortably adapts right alongside the shifting water chemistry. It gives fish keepers a living, breathing, fail-safe guide to confidently cross the bridge from fresh to saltwater fish keeping. It's a real game changer. It really shifts your perspective, doesn't it? What initially appeared to be a visually boring, completely unremarkable fish actually holds the exact biological keys to unlock a whole new level of the aquarium hobby. It teaches us such a valuable lesson about looking past the surface, which leaves us with this thought to ponder. What other plain creatures are out there, hiding incredible biological superpowers? The natural world is absolutely full of these hidden marvels, just waiting for us to look a little closer and ask the right questions. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you walk away looking at the ugly ducklings of the animal kingdom in a whole new light.